Anyway, let's have a look at the halachas of Leil HaSeder. Let's have a look at the matzah. Let's start off with the matzah. Let's see what we've got. So, be'erev toichlu matzah, that's where it's a mitzvah to asay, it's a dioraisa, it's a Torah obligation to eat matzah. It's based on the Pesach. Who's obligated? Everybody, men, women, children over the age of bar and bat mitzvah, any children that are over the age of chinuch, they should also be eating matzah. Interestingly enough, if anybody here is familiar with the concepts of halacha, you'll know that there's a halacha which says that women are exempt from time-bound positive mitzvot. What's called mitzvah aseh shesman grama. The question over here is, why would women be obligated in eating the matzah? The matzah, you're supposed to eat the matzah on Seder night, right? It's a positive commandment to eat them, and it's time-bound, right? Seder night, that's the night you're supposed to eat them. Therefore, they should be exempt. However, it says that because the women are the ones who took us out of Egypt, the schut nashim tzidkaniyot, it was the righteous women who their merits were the ones that got us out of Egypt to begin with. Therefore, they have an obligation to eat the matzah as well. They're a part of the whole mitzvah as well. However, the Gemara says something else. The Gemara says, based on a pasuk, the pasuk says, "Lo tochal alav chamed shivas yomim tochal alav matzah," that a person, that the commandment for eating matzah, it says like this, that anybody who's forbidden to eat chametz is obligated to eat matzah on Leil HaSeder. That's a diuk. It's just learning from the pasuk itself, right? So if men and women and children over the age of bar and bat mitzvah are obligated in not eating chametz, right? There's a prohibition against eating chametz. Chametz is leaven, right? Therefore, they're obligated in eating the matzah as well.
Under the age of a mitzvah, you're allowed to eat.
It's a problem. There are technical problems, which means like this. First of all, any child over the age of chinuch, so they should not be eating, they're for sure they should not be eating any chametz, right? What is the age of chinuch? It depends a little bit on the child's abilities, but 5, 6, 7, that's about the age. There's a separate problem, which is what? That it's also for a Jew to own chametz on Pesach, right? So how is this child going to eat chametz? It's a problem. I had a question the other day about a lady who said that her son has terrible reflux. And it took him a long time to find a formula that the child is able to eat. The child was 7 months old, I think. And they finally found a formula that's made with rice and wheat. And that's the only formula they found that he's able to keep down. What are they supposed to do with Pesach? Here, so like this. If there's a din of pikuach nefesh over here, of any danger to the child's life, so fine, let them eat. Let them eat whatever it is that they're giving. What I suggested, what she should do is like this. First of all, the OU, which is the largest kashrus authority in the world, are giving kashrus to all kinds of different products. And maybe the OU can come up with something which might be similar, but isn't going to have. I told her she should get in touch with the OU to see what it is that they can, what can they suggest with regards to formula that might have the same kind of qualities without the problem of the wheat. The rice is less of a problem, even though rice is kitnius, right? And kitnius is something that Ashkenazim don't eat on Pesach. Kitnius is some Sfardim, right? Kitnius is what are they called? Legumes. Right, pulses, right? So things that puff up when they're cooked. Things like beans and all different kinds of beans, right? What else is hummus is considered to be kitnius. I think sesame is kitnius. Rice is kitnius. But there's definitely no problem for a child to eat kitnius, even if they're Ashkenaz. Kitnius is not chometz. That's just to emphasize that very clearly. Like, kitnius is not chometz, and somebody who eats kitnius is not eating chometz on Pesach. And if you've got somebody who has to eat kitnius, right, you've got people who have all kinds of digestive problems, right? So, for example, the celiacs, up until not very long ago, it was very difficult to get a hold of flour that was good for celiacs. Then it would be okay to use kitnius-based foodstuffs. So if you can find a formula that's only based on kitnius, that would be okay. That would be really no problem whatsoever. Huh?
The wheat in it.
The problem was the wheat. Right? So I told her she should get in touch with somebody who really know, people who really know their business when it comes to kashrus, and what's available, what's not available, what's good and what's not good, and maybe together they'll be able to come up with something which Mitzvah Hashem is going to allow the baby over Pesach to be able to eat and to keep down what he eats. In all events, matzah has to be made from the 5 grains. If it's not made from one of the 5 grains, then you can't make a motzi over it, and that's a problem. It's not a problem for the rest of Pesach. It's a problem for Seder night. What are the 5 grains? Wheat, spelt, barley, oats, and rye. Chita, kusemet, so'ora, shibolet, sho'al, and shifon. Those 5 things are good for making matzah with. So, for example, rice flour is not going to be okay for making matzah because you don't make a motzi over it. Can you eat rice flour matzah during Pesach? For sure. For somebody who eats kidneys, it's no problem whatsoever, right? But you can't make a motzi over it, right? So what do you make? You make a mazonis over it instead. For celiacs, many celiacs are able to eat spelt, which is kosemet. And you can get a hold today. You can get a hold of matzahs pretty easily that have been made out of flours that are completely kosher lePesach, and they are flours that are okay. They're apparently they're okay for the digestive. What is the problem with flour? Why does flour have to be kosher lePesach? Regular flour is being through a process. Part of the process of regular flour is that it's bleached if it's white flour, or it's been rinsed. In all events, it's been rinsed. And that's going to be a problem with leavening, which is why we need to use flour which is only going to be kosher lePesach flour, and you won't find regular flour on the shelves for Pesach. What people tend to use is either corn flour or they'll use matzah meal, right, in place of. And so you should just be aware of these things. Matzah needs to be made of only flour and water. It can't be made with anything else, any kind of additives. There is something called matzah ashira.
Right.
Matzah ashira normally has eggs in it.
Yeah, egg matzah we call it.
You call it egg matzah. Matzah ashira means that the word matzah ashira means rich, right? It's got a richness to it. It's got a different flavor to it.
Not on the Seder night.
But you can't use it on the Seder night, right? Because on the Seder night we have to use what's called lechem oini. Lechem oini is poor man's bread. The reason why it's called lechem oini is because it's just flour and water. No additives whatsoever, the most basic food stuff possible. Another reason it's called lechem oini is because by the time you've paid for your hand-baked shmura matzahs, that's exactly what you're going to be. You'll be very poor. The union of eating lechem oini is that we're trying to tap back into the concept of slavery. The Ibn Ezra, who lived 900 years ago, writes that in his day they used to feed the slaves matzah. I don't mean matzah like, again, not hand-baked shmura matzahs, but a kind of a matzah. Why is that? Because matzah is very economical. It's just flour and water, and it's very filling. Right? You eat matzah, you eat a few sheets of matzah, and it'll keep you going. You'll be full. You'll be full for ages. Anyway, matzah ashira is not just eggs. Sometimes fruit juice is added in. Something. You've got to stay clear of any matzah that has anything other than flour and water on Leil Seder. That's all that we can eat over here. What have we got? We've got 3 different times that the matzah is going to be eaten. Once is the moitzi matzah, when we make our moitzi and we eat the first time that we eat the matzah in the year on Seder night. The second time is the korech, that's the sandwich that Hillel introduced of taking matzah and moro, which is bitter herbs, and putting them together. And the third time is what's called the afikomen, which is the last thing that's eaten on Leil Seder. And afikomen comes from the Greek word of epicurus, which is dessert. You've got handmade matzahs and you've got machine-made matzahs. Handmade matzahs are round, machine-made matzahs are square. The difference between them, well, it's interesting. When machines first came, when they were first created, machines, we're going back almost 200 years, the first matzah machines, they were a cause of great controversy, whether it was possible for a machine to make matzah at all. One of the problems is that matzah has to be made l'shem mitzvahs matzah, and if it's not being done, a machine is doing it. The second problem, which is a very fundamental problem with regards to matzah, is what's left inside of the machine after the run has gone through. Every 18 minutes things have to be cleaned out. How well are these things being cleaned out? They were very primitive, these machines, to begin with. Today, the matzah machines are incredibly sophisticated. First of all, everything is being run not just on conveyor belts, but conveyor belts that are covered in plastic, and the plastic is just removed. After 18 minutes, the whole thing is removed. The machine cleans itself using hot steam, and it's very vigorous. The whole machine starts shaking to get rid of anything that might be inside of it. It steams itself out, and then it starts off the process all over again. It's interesting. I don't know what to tell you. What should a person be doing? Some communities, the community minhag custom is to eat only hand matzahs, and in some communities, the community custom is to eat only machine matzahs, because they're under the impression that machine matzahs are they're better, they're more kosher than the hand matzahs. Just so you should know, in Mitzvah Hashem, we'll stop with this for today, but the 3 times that the matzah is eaten, so that there are 3 different classifications for the matzah. The first time that we eat the matzah, which is the moitzi matzah, that's a dioraisa, that's a Torah obligation to eat the matzah on the first time when we make a moitzi and we make a bracha al achilas matzah. Right? It's a very, Leila Seder is a very special night because we make brachas on Leila Seder that we don't make any other time in the year.
The bracha is in
the bracha of, we make the bracha of al achilas matzah, we make a bracha of al achilas mora as well. Right? These are brachas that we don't make any other time during the year. So any other time during the year, even during Pesach itself, if you're going to eat matzah, you just say hamoitzi lechem min haaretz, and you don't make a bracha of al achilas matzah. But now on Leila Seder we're going to make a bracha because it's the mitzvah say we're fulfilling a Torah prohibition, a Torah obligation to eat matzah. That's the first time. The second time we eat matzah with the koirech, which is Hillel telling us that we should eat the matzah and the morah together, that is a derabanan. That's a rabbinical obligation. And the third time that we eat is the afikomen, and that is a sofek dioraisa. There's a machloikes. There's a disagreement amongst the various authorities about whether the afikomen is a Torah obligation or whether it is a rabbinical obligation. The problem is, of course, that any time we have what's called a safek dioraita, any time that there's a doubt about whether something is a Torah obligation, we rule stringently. Right, and that's going to have a lot of bearing over here. Mitzvah Hashem we'll see tomorrow, but that's going to have a lot of bearing over here about how much matzah needs to be eaten in order to fulfill the obligation. More for the first one, less for the second one. Mitzvah Hashem, that's what we'll talk about tomorrow.